Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into a really unique thought experiment, a piece of writing that imagines one of modern conservatism's most polarizing figures defending his entire legacy from beyond the grave. So the whole idea behind the text we're looking at today is this imaginary Q&A with Charlie Kirk. It basically creates a persona for him that gets to answer all of his toughest critics with absolutely nothing left to lose. We're going to break down the core arguments this imagined dialogue puts forward, looking at it theme by theme. We'll touch on rhetoric, polarization, violence, and of course his legacy. Okay, let's just get right into it. So, how does this all kick off? Well, right from the get-go, this imagined version of Kirk has a completely unapologetic, almost defiant tone. Let's be clear, this is no apology tour. And right there, that quote tells you everything you need to know about the premise. This isn't about trying to find common ground or seek reconciliation. It's about using one final, untouchable platform to defend a life's work with zero compromise. So, what's the first major challenge this persona has to face? It's the big one, the accusation that his language wasn't just controversial, but that it was hateful and genuinely dangerous. The text doesn't beat around the bush. The criticism is put to him directly. Do you accept any ounce of responsibility for the real-world hostility that critics so often linked to your words? And his answer? An immediate and total rejection of that whole idea. He draws this incredibly hard line, completely separating speech from action. All the blame, he argues, is on the individual who commits the act, period. Now, this is a really key rhetorical move here. The whole concept of division gets completely reframed. The argument isn't that his words created a divide. No, the argument is that he simply exposed a division that was already simmering just beneath the surface. So this section really wraps up by positioning his sharp, often combative language as a necessary tool. A way to wake people up to what he saw as destructive lies. The idea is that passion isn't hate, and being clear isn't the same as being cruel. And that, of course, leads us right into the next big topic, that tricky line between championing free speech and fueling the political polarization he was so often blamed for. So he gets hit with a really pointed question about his controversial stance on systemic racism, which is, a huge flashpoint in the whole free speech debate. And here, the argument presented is that the term itself is the actual problem. It's framed not as a real thing people experience, but as a kind of political weapon, a phrase used to shut down any conservative arguments about personal responsibility. And this, right here, gets to the absolute heart of the conflict. The text lays out two fundamentally different views of what free speech even means. Is it about protecting people from being offended? Or is it about a no-holds-barred competition of ideas where the best one wins? Okay, so let's stick with that logic for a second, that idea of separating words and ideas from real-world consequences, and see how it gets applied to the incredibly charged topic of guns and violence. And again, the challenge is put to him point blank. His unwavering pro-gun advocacy is directly linked to the ongoing tragedy of gun violence in America. What does he have to say about that? The defense here is to just completely shift the entire focus of the debate. The argument is, this isn't about the hardware, it's about the heart. It's about what the text calls cultural rot, a breakdown of faith, family, and purpose that it sees as the true root cause of violence. So, the crucial takeaway here is that the debate is framed not as just a simple disagreement over policy, but as this massive clash of worldviews. It's a fundamental disagreement on what causes problems in society. Is it the systems and tools we have, or is it something deeper, something about our culture and morality? So after all that, how does this imagined version of him want to be remembered? Well, this next section from the source material tackles that exact question of his legacy head on. And this question really just cuts to the core of that dual perception of his work, right? Was he building a sense of hope and courage for his supporters, or was he just spreading fear and animosity towards his opponents? And the conclusion the text presents is pretty stark. His legacy is completely in the eye of the beholder. For his supporters, it was a fight for preservation. It was about having the courage to push back. For his critics, it was just fear and phobia, two sides of the same coin. Okay, this brings us to the climax of the whole piece, the final reflection. He's asked the ultimate question. Looking back, would you have done anything differently? But instead of any kind of regret, what we get is this defiant list of final lessons.
It's a complete doubling down on all the strategies he used in his life, framing them as absolutely essential tactics in what he saw as this high-stakes, all-or-nothing cultural battle.
And that, right there, is the final, unapologetic message. It frames a hugely controversial life not as something divisive, but as a testament to choosing conviction over compromise, no matter what it costs you. And so that really leaves us with a central question, doesn't it? The defense that we've just walked through is all about intent, but the debate, for sure, will always continue over the impact. That's all for this explainer.